Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here on Threading It Together. I am Holly Richardson, a director with Thread Strategies, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, Stella Petrone, who is also a director with Thread. And we are very excited to continue our conversation with you about hiring. This has been a crazy market for it for the past couple of months. A lot of organizations are looking for new fundraisers or adding new fundraisers onto their staff if they already have a team. And we are here today with some of our best tips and strategies that we've seen emerge over the past couple of weeks and months as we've been supporting our partners through hiring and trying to figure out how do you get folks to say yes and come through the pipeline, and what can you do to exert control over a process that, you know, you're only a participant in. You're an important participant, but just one of the participants in it, you know. So Stella does an amazing amount of work of hiring on the Thread team, and I would love to start, Stella, with what is one of your number one tips that you're supporting our partners with at the moment?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, thanks, Holly, is, there's a lot more folks out there looking for, or I'm sorry, a lot more organizations looking for development directors or development professionals than there are development professionals looking for new positions. And so I think what the biggest thing when you are running a successful search is just being patient with the process. This is going to be a long game, and, be flexible. And with that flexibility, I think comes recognizing what it is that you absolutely have to have in your candidate, and what are the things that it would be nice to have. We all talk about the unicorn, who is going to be the person that checks all the boxes, but there is a difference in your organization between the things that are absolutely critical to your organization and the ones that it would be really nice. There are things that it would be nice if they had this type of experience, but what are we willing to give up in order to get that, that top candidate for us? What are some examples of some of the things that you've seen with that, Holly, in terms of a, must-have, or something that an organization maybe thought was a must-have, but it really turned out to be just a nice to have?
Yeah, well, I think one example that I'm working with at the moment is we're working with an organization where their new development strategy is really heavy on individual giving, and they need someone very strong with a background in major gifts and as well as annual fundraising, but they also do a lot of grant work. But they are in the wonderful position where they have a hired contract grant writer. Mm-hmm. And so they're in that position of they would love to find a candidate who's as much a specialist in individual giving as they are in foundation relations and grant writing. But they've identified that if push comes to shove, when we see our different candidates, we need to prioritize the folks with the stronger individual giving experience. Mm-hmm. And then if we can follow up and they have institutional, fabulous, but that's a nice to have given the other capacity of the organization, not a must have.
Right.
So I think that's one, and that one I think is really tied to strategy. It's what fundraising work needs to get done, and how do we want to prioritize that, not just who looks the shiniest, bestest, right, because of their credentials.
And who's going to be the right fit for you as an organization? Yeah. What do you have the capacity, both financially? I mean, a lot of times organizations think about how much do we have to spend on a professional, and not necessarily what can we support? Who do we have on our team that could maybe help coach up in the areas that that the candidate might be deficient in? And if we don't have that person, then maybe, we need to look at something else as a must-have. Yeah. Have a lot of self-awareness as to what you as an organization are able to offer to a candidate, and what you absolutely need to have someone doing, hitting the ground running, and what is something that can be coached. And if so, do you have the capacity to coach them in that way?
Yeah. And I think that's such a brilliant segue into what our second big tip for you guys is today, is to really think about this idea of fit and chemistry, and to look at that more broadly and break out of that idea necessarily of fit. We like to think more in terms of complementarity, of how can you think about your team, think about your organization and your capacity. And when you're reviewing and screening candidates, looking at them as to what do they add to the organization, not just what current holes could they fill. Because if you're really just thinking for fit and chemistry, what we see more and more happening, and there's a lot of research to corroborate this, is that your organization is becoming more homogenous in terms of its work style, its thought patterns, its strategy capacity. All of those things start to look, feel, talk, and walk the same because you're just finding people who fit into what you already have, not thinking about how can we add people to our team who are going to expand the limits of what we have and really complement what we have and take it that step further. So even if you've got candidates in front of you where you think, ooh, I don't know if this is exactly the right fit, we would encourage you to think about what's the potential here of something new that this person might bring to the table that you don't yet have, not just what current holes you need filled. So we have been thinking a lot and coaching a lot about this idea of fit. And I know Stella has been a leader for us on this front, and it's super helpful, and clients are really, really responsive about it.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. I mean, I think for a long time, we think about the nonprofit industry, and for a long time, the type of person that went into it is, it's that person who really believes in the cause and wants to help organizations. And because of that also, you get to figure out who you're comfortable with. It's that, it's that certain type. And especially for smaller organizations, you want to find the person that you're comfortable with, but maybe comfortable isn't necessarily good. It's not good for your organization. How are you going to grow if you don't find someone who challenges you? And especially in some of the leadership positions, and especially in development, provide that additional perspective. It's not just checking a DEI box. It is actually, living it and saying, I'm okay with someone who is going to challenge me and who is going to offer another perspective to our organization, because what we're doing has gotten us into the position where we need to either grow or change. And so really think about, not just slipping into what is going to be the most comfortable hire, who fits the best with us, because maybe fit isn't necessarily the best, the best thing for your organization in terms of promoting better growth.
Yeah. And pushing towards those goals. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Third big, amazing tip that we've been sharing with our folks, Stella. What is another thing that we think is so important nowadays?
Well, I just want to bring it full circle. Yeah, bring it full circle to where we started. Patience and flexibility. Like I said in the beginning, there are a lot more organizations looking for development professionals than there are development professionals looking for roles. And so we know, usually when you've gotten to the point where you have the budget and you have that great job description and you as a team are ready and, ready to embrace the process and add that new person to your team, you're very excited, but you might not find that person. And even though you are, very open-minded and you are doing all the things that you're supposed to do and you're posting in the right places. And, we have another Threading It Together about that as well. But, you're doing all of the things that you're supposed to be doing. And you're not necessarily seeing the candidates come in. It's not you. It's not, it might not be everything you feel like you've done everything, chances are you have, but you might just need to wait a little bit and be patient. A lot of this is about timing. A lot of this is about luck, unfortunately, and who's looking at that moment. And, you can look at all the studies and posting on this day and leaving it up for this amount of time definitely follow all that. But a lot of it is just, taking a deep breath and being patient with the process.
Can't agree with that more. I mean, we even have clients who will post again, who do a full round of recruiting and then have to post again because it wasn't none of the right applicants for the organization and the right organization for those applicants. That match just didn't make in that moment. And so you have to try again. And it's always better to have patience than just to try and get a body in the chair. Yeah. And then back in this position a year now, because
exactly that's the most important part, Holly. I would definitely, play that up and repeat that because you don't want to be in the same position again in a year or less time by rushing the process or getting someone on board who is not the right person for that position.
Totally. So there you have it. Our 3 big tips for you today around hiring. Number 1, know your must-haves. Know what it is critical for folks coming into the position to be able to do, and those basic measures of success. Number 2 is have a really strong, broad sense of potential and complementarity as opposed to just fit. And are they sort of carbon copies of what we've had before? Think more broadly than that. Look for potential and complementarity. And number 3, have patience. Post again, have flexibility. Treat this as a 2-way street. and just keep driving down that road and you will see success. We promise that it will come around, but you got to have that patience. So if this was helpful, if you liked it, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to our channel. We have more videos right now going up around hiring and how to survive this market. So stay tuned and we'll see you again for another Threading It Together. Thanks.